Let's talk about porn addiction withdrawal recovery symptoms and what to expect along your recovery journey. We're going to go over some things that are standard for every addiction recovery, but there are some specific things that are specific to porn addiction recovery that you are definitely going to want to know about, because the men who don't know about this get terrified and run right back to pornography. All right, let's get started, shall we? So first, let's go over some of the standards for any addiction. These are going to be things such as, and this is for withdrawal symptoms, which is when your subconscious mind and your brain and your neural pathways and your identity, you are recalibrating to a new normal, and your subconscious mind is protesting. And the protest shows up in certain things such as anxiety, depression, insomnia, sudden bursts of anger or tears. You can have things such as an emotional flatline, a numbing out. Or it can be on the opposite end of the spectrum where you seem totally emotionally sensitive to everything. Those things are common, normal, and expected for anyone overcoming any addiction. And those are just very common addiction withdrawal symptoms. Now, what's going on here? The limbic system part of your brain, which is part of like the emotional command center, is on high alert. And your subconscious mind has been tricked into believing that you need pornography in order to survive. This is true for anyone addicted to anything. Your subconscious mind believes that that is the most important thing in your life for survival. Why does it believe this? It's because it gives you all of the neurochemicals for things that in real life would allow you to truly survive. For example, the neurochemicals that you get when you eat a delicious meal, or if you're freezing cold and you get to warm up, or if you're having sex and you get to pass on your genes so that you can essentially keep the lineage going. These are all things that your subconscious mind massively rewards you with on a chemical level, with things such as high spikes of dopamine. And there are other neurochemicals at play, but dopamine is one of the primary ones. And when these high spikes of neurochemicals happen, your subconscious mind says, oh, these are the things that contribute to our survival. Let's continue to do more of the things that give us the spike of these neurochemicals. And things that are addictive, such as pornography, give you a higher spike of these neurochemicals than everyday normal things. They give you a higher spike than the things that truly do contribute to your survival. Therefore, your subconscious mind goes, this must be the most important thing for my survival, whatever your addictive choice has been. So when you remove it and your body, your mind, your subconscious mind, your identity does not experience the addictive experience at the interval that it is expected, withdrawal symptoms start to show up. And your subconscious mind will begin to beg you to go take action to receive that addictive experience, to spike those neurochemicals. And then your subconscious mind goes, we're safe, we can survive, we got the thing. And when you don't give it the thing, in this case pornography, then your subconscious mind protests and revolts and gives you anxiety, and the mind begins to wander and you can't focus on anything because it just wants the one thing. And it will continue to give you withdrawal symptoms until you give it the thing that it's craving, or, and this is what we're going for, you train your subconscious mind to recalibrate to a new normal. A new normal that does not include your addictive choice, your addictive escapisms. You must teach your subconscious mind that you can indeed survive and be safe without the addictive choices. And until you retrain your subconscious mind how to do that, what that feels like, then your subconscious mind will continually try to make you go and make an addictive choice. And it does that by bringing about withdrawal symptoms, cravings. Now, the emotional flatline, why does that happen? The emotional flatline is happening because your subconscious mind essentially began to feel so unsafe without its addiction experience that it said, we're just gonna numb out. It feels so unsafe and brings so much anxiety or even panic to not have the addictive experience that we would rather feel nothing instead. Numb out. Emotional flatline. Numb out. This is the subconscious mind's attempt at protecting you from the dangers, I'll put dangers in quotes because it's a perception of danger. It's not a real danger. It's a perception of danger that your subconscious mind is perceiving in the absence of your addictive choice. And your subconscious mind goes, we feel totally unsafe without this addiction, without the addictive choice, the addictive experience, the dopamine spike. There's other neurochemicals at play too. We're just keeping it simple. So the subconscious mind goes, let's feel nothing instead. We'd rather feel nothing as opposed to the horrors of being without the addictive choice. There's also a physical flatline with libido, a libido flatline, which it can overlap and coincide with the emotional flatline. Oftentimes it does, but not always. And that's where you will not be able to get an erection during this time period. This is one of the things that terrifies men. Terrifies. And he goes, oh no, what if it will never work again? What if it will never work again? And what does he do? He runs right back to pornography to check it. Things are working. And he goes, oh, thank God, okay. Whew. That right there is one of the things that prevents men from overcoming pornography addiction, because he's scared every time. He might have no libido, or he might have a libido but can't get an erection without pornography. He checks it with pornography and things are working. That's a sign of porn-induced erectile dysfunction, by the way. But part of the physical, the libido flatline, sometimes there might be zero libido, even in the presence of pornography, zero ability to get an erection in that moment, even when pornography is right in front of you, even if it's like your favorite thing that got you off the strongest in the past. And this terrifies men. But just so you know, this is a good sign. It is temporary and it's a good sign. Why is it a good sign? It's because your subconscious mind is recalibrating to a new normal, and during this temporary phase, you may not be able to get an erection. You may have zero libido. Take that as a good sign of recovery. Take that as a good sign that you are doing a good job of abstaining and avoiding pornography, and your subconscious mind is in the middle of creating a shift as a result of your new choices. So be proud of yourself when you experience that, if you experience that. Not every man experiences that. If you do, it might be for a day, it might be for months. It depends on how severe your addiction was and what you are doing to take action to heal and recover and make shifts on a subconscious level. And remember, one of the worst things you could do to attempt to heal, which most guys do this, is simply to stay busy, stay disciplined, stay busy. That is only part of the equation, and it will fail every time. Because a massive part of the equation is to heal from emotional wounds of the past. You gotta feel it to heal it. And if you're simply staying busy, you are distracting yourself from the very things you need to heal from, and you are missing a major part of the equation, and you are bound to fail. You are setting yourself up for failure if you do that, which is what most guys try to do and attempt to do. So another sign or a symptom you might experience, I said it briefly earlier, is your mind might be wandering all over the place and you're finding that it's very difficult to focus. And this is because your brain is experiencing dopamine withdrawal symptoms. Dopamine withdrawal symptoms. And whatever you are attempting to focus on in that moment, the brain is not experiencing enough dopamine to maintain focus. And your brain is freaking out a little, and every time it wanders to a new idea, a new thought, a new whatever, that is the brain attempting to experience more dopamine than what you are experiencing in that moment. That's what that is. That's what I call it, wandering mind syndrome. That's not a real diagnosis. I just call it that. And that's just the brain not experiencing enough dopamine in that moment to stay focused. This is why dopamine or digital detox is a very good thing. We can begin to resensitize our dopamine receptors so that we don't need as much dopamine to be able to totally focus on lower dopamine activities, and our brain, our mind, can become so incredibly engaged and focused. And ooh, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. There was a scientific paper published where the title of the paper is called "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. It's a form of anxiety. Okay, what else might you expect? Well, a common thing is extreme sexual urges, right? On the opposite end of the spectrum of zero libido whatsoever, you might have extreme sexual urges. And that's your subconscious mind screaming at you to give it a sexual experience through pornography, if that's your addictive choice that you've trained your subconscious mind to experience. Because your subconscious mind believes it needs it for survival, so it's going to scream at you. Kind of like maybe if you haven't eaten in 4 or 5 days, imagine how much your subconscious mind is going to scream at you to go get food. You truly do need food for survival. So it will scream at you and do whatever it takes to get you to go take action to get some food. Well, with addiction, it's the same thing. Your subconscious mind believes you need it for survival. It's going to scream at you in whatever way it can through withdrawal symptoms to try and compel you to go take action so that you can have the experience of that specific addictive experience. And when there's addiction present, it lowers the functioning of the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which makes a person have less willpower to make healthy choices. Essentially, you're more willing to make choices that lead to bad consequences, self-sabotaging consequences. A reduced functioning of the prefrontal cortex leads to impulsive and compulsive behaviors. Essentially, you're functioning like a small child who doesn't have control. But it's okay because we can train our mind, our brain, to have incredibly strong and amazingly functioning, so that your prefrontal cortex is functioning in a phenomenal way, so that you have amazing self-control. You make really incredible decisions for yourself that future you will be so glad you made those decisions. All right, and here's another thing to know about, specifically for pornography addiction. It's called the chaser effect. The chaser effect is when you've been abstaining from pornography after being addicted to it, and then you go to have sex with a real life partner, face to face, flesh to flesh, real person. That is a step in the right direction. That's what we want, right? We want this to be real connections, having a real, safe, loving connection with your sexual partner, whoever that may be. Safe, loving connection. I can't tell you what your goal is, right? But for the human experience, this is universal for us. When we have safe, loving, sexual connection with another person, that is healing, that is nourishing for our subconscious mind, that is nourishing and healing. And so when you go to have sex with a real life person and you're avoiding pornography after being addicted to it, the subconscious mind will then bring on something called the chaser effect. The chaser effect. And this is where your subconscious mind, your physical body, is going to have deep and incredibly intense cravings for pornography after having sex with a real life person. Because you're reminding your body of the sexual experience and the way that the sexual experience has been deeply anchored into your subconscious mind, which the physical body is a grand extension of the subconscious mind. You're reminding your body that normally you experience the sexual experience through pornography. So having sex with a real life person, then your subconscious mind goes, oh, wait a sec. I remember how you normally do this. That way feels easy and safe and fun and gives even a higher dopamine spike than what you may have just experienced with that real life person. So your subconscious mind goes, let's create a deep and intense craving so that you go and do that instead. Pornography never asks anything of you. You don't have to show up with chivalry or kindness or compassion or intelligence, or you don't have to groom yourself. There's no vulnerability, there's no growth, there's no courage. Pornography is the easy button. It's the easy button. And the subconscious mind is always looking for the easy button to pleasure. The easy button to those dopamine spikes. So it goes, oh, when you did it with that real life person, it took effort and maybe some courage. And you had to probably groom yourself and show up in a socially, expected way and all these things. And maybe it was a lower dopamine spike. The subconscious mind goes, why would you put more effort for that when you could just press the easy button? So your subconscious mind creates the chaser effect. Goes, go chase that porn. You had that little taste of, whatever it was with that real person. Now it's time to go chase the pornography. Go get that. That's the chaser effect. So you can expect that to be a potential. Just be aware of it so that when it shows up, prepare yourself ahead of time on how to deal with it, how to handle it, so that you don't just go and reach for your phone or whatever and then relapse to pornography. Which I don't like that R word, relapse, at all. That's a terrible word to use. A much better way to say it is learning opportunity. A learning opportunity. A mandatory learning opportunity that you gather information, self-insights about yourself and what action to take so that you can do a better job of putting this addiction behind you and healing and moving forward. So that is what to expect for porn addiction recovery withdrawal symptoms along your journey. That's it for now, and I will see you in the next lesson.